Hello ninjas and ninjas, welcome to another episode of the Exposure Ninja Digital Marketing Podcast. This show is all about helping you to generate more leads and sales from your website. My name's Tim, I run the show and also run Exposure Ninja, which is a digital marketing agency based in the UK. In this week's episode, I'm joined by Jaimee Newberry from Picture This Clothing. Picture This Clothing is a very, very exciting story. From a standing start, with no investment capital whatsoever, they did $759,000 in sales in their first year. They did this by having a fantastic product that went viral. So Jaimee's come onto the show to talk through the process, what they did to prepare for that, what they did to set up the business in a way that would make that virality at launch most likely. A really interesting story, and Jaimee's very open with how they built it and the challenges that they had. I have to also apologise for my voice. It's not particularly strong this week. I went to the football, Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal, and the underdogs won. I love a good underdog story, so I screamed myself hoarse. But anyway, if you enjoy this show, then you can check out the show notes by going to exposureninja.com/episode 89. All one word, no spaces. exposureninja.com/episode 89. Also, I need to ask you, they've told me to ask you, if you enjoy the show and you want to leave a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you find it, that would be very much appreciated. The reviews really, really help with visibility. It also shows us what you like and what you don't like. So if you like the show, then go and leave a review. If you don't like the show, then maybe don't leave a review. Or you can just email me with your comments instead. I'll fix it and then you can leave a review. How about that? Anyway, without further ado, enjoy the show with Jaimee Newberry from Picture This Clothing. Jaimee, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So you run Picture This Clothing and you've built this company to $759,000 in your first year with no outside investment. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay, that's amazing. Maybe to start off with, you could describe the business to this person who has not heard of you yet.
Yeah. So, the most simple version of what it is wear your imagination. You print out a coloring template. You color it. It's a dress or a t-shirt. You color it. You take a smartphone photo, upload it to our website. And in a couple of weeks, we send it back ready to wear. We started with kids wear and we offer adult sizes now too, in both the t-shirts and the dresses.
Awesome. So going back to the start, this was August 2016, is that right?
Correct.
So at that point, you're working full-time. And am I right in saying you made a dress yourself that your daughter had designed, right? And that's how it kind of kicked off.
Yeah. So we were home for Christmas break, basically, on holiday. And, so my kids are home. I worked from home at the time. So sometimes keeping kids busy is, an activity in itself. But my youngest daughter, Zia, she was just, coloring, doing what kids do. And she comes over, she brings this drawing of a rainbow dress over. And she's like, look at this dress I made, Mom. She's so proud of it. And I'm like, yay, another rainbow dress, I'm kind of like, okay, woohoo, another pile of art for this, the stack of art that we have. But I look at it and I think, it's simple enough. I bet I could make that. Like I have 4-H level sewing skills, pretty basic sewing skills. I could probably make this. It was kind of like a bunch of lines, like rainbow lines put together. So I took her to the fabric store and about, almost $100 worth of fabrics and supplies later, we go home. And then over the next 3 days and about 12 hours, I'm pretty good about logging my time, how much time I spent on stuff. So I spent about 12 hours in 3 days patterning a dress, cutting the pieces, sewing it together and fitting it to her. And when she put it on at the end, it was all done. She puts it on and she's like, oh, I'm wearing my imagination. And I was just like, oh my God, that's awesome. Like that's an amazing moment to experience as a parent with your child. And, and that wasn't the aha moment though for the business that became. So, she wore this dress for a couple months and she wore it everywhere. She wouldn't take it off. I had to peel it off her to wash it. But like my boyfriend, Ken, he was like, oh my gosh, you have something here. Because everywhere we would go, people would compliment this dress. They were like, "Oh my gosh, where'd you get this dress?" And she's like, "I made it with my imagination." And, she's like, "I created it with my mind." And just hearing that and seeing that was really amazing. And so he's like, "You've got something here. You should do something with this." And I was like a COO. I have a web design background, but at the time I was a COO for a web app development company, like all tech kind of stuff. I've been an advisor and coach and all these things, but that, like sewing, I was like, no, I'm not going to become a seamstress. Nowhere near the realm of anything I ever want to do for a living. Like, it was fun for my kid once, so we kind of just put it on the shelf. It's definitely, we explored some business plans and ideas around it and costs and stuff, but nothing really panned out or made sense from a business perspective. And then a couple months later, Ken, my boyfriend, comes back and he goes, I think I've got it. And he's like, "What if they actually wore the drawing rather than trying to recreate it as I did with the first dress that I did for Zia? What if we just, printed it out as they drew it and sewed that together if we came up with a basic enough shape?" So, I came up with the A-line tank dress. Ken turned that into a very simple black and white coloring sheet that you could print out from the website. And we started with that. We started doing some prototypes. We pulled in a couple friends who could help us find somebody who could actually create these things, like the type of printing that we needed. So Ken's really savvy in that. We researched a bunch of stuff. We have our friend Ignazio, who actually ended up doing the website in exchange for some equity. So, it was one of those deals where, like, "Hey, we have this idea." And he's like, "Great, I'm in. You just have to, work." He owned his own business, and he was basically just like, "Yeah, I'll do it as long as you aren't in a hurry." And we were like, "Cool, we're not in a hurry. It's just a side project, little passion thing. We want to see if it'll work out." So yeah, we spent about 10 months doing that. Just kind of, we all had our own things. Ken is half of the iOS app for Reddit, Reddit app called Narwhal. Anyway, so that was his thing that him and this guy, Rick, were already doing that. That was their full-time thing. And we all had full-time stuff going. So, this was just like, let's plug away at it as we can and see how it goes. So yeah, I feel like I'm talking nonstop and not giving you a chance to.
No, it's fantastic. It's such a good story. I love that your daughter not only designed the product, but kind of came up with a tagline as well.
Yes, like, because that's not, it's one of those things, like, I would have never come up with that, wearing my imagination. It's just, it was too perfect. And then, so once, I guess like about 10 months later, it was around July of 2016, Iggy Ignazio, the guy who did our website. So Ken and Iggy worked on all the visual design and branding. I took photos of my daughter and her best friend, Gigi, who are still the two main characters on our website, and their friend Zion is the little boy. But yeah, I took photos of them with my iPhone, just like, here, put on some prototypes, let's try this. Gave them to Iggy to put into the website. They made it look beautiful. And then we tested it with like 5 friends with kids. We were like, "Hey, will you just try this out?" Kind of a beta test, small, focused little group of 5 people. They did it. They placed their orders on the website. We produced the product. We sent it to them. We took their feedback. We had to adjust some sizes. And then that was it. We were kind of like at a point, well, we may as well just put this out in the world and see what happens. We have very low expectations. We thought it'd be awesome if we sold like 1 or maybe 10 a month was like our big ambition, but we knew we had something cool. We thought it was a very cool idea. We all have like product design and development experience under our belts. And so, it was really important to us to really simplify it to 3 simple steps, just like print and color, take a smartphone photo, upload, and then we'll send it back. Like super, super simple. We wanted to make it as simple as possible. We had a lot of questions. Would people actually go to your website, print something out, and then come back to actually place the order? That was something, we were like, let's just test the market here. This is just a proof of concept. But as a proof of concept, it was ready to go. It was pretty much what you see now. We've expanded the site a little bit, but it was built in WordPress templates, just something like lean and mean and easy to launch with a WooCommerce backend for the e-commerce side. And, it was like something that we knew we could sustain and make sales with, but that wasn't too complicated and didn't cost a lot of money up front. So we spent very little. It was mostly time is what we spent. I think we each put in like $500 to get this thing started with prototypes, and then a lot of time across 10 months. So we got ready and we decided that August 16th was the day. I mean, I think we decided that the day before. We're like, how about tomorrow? So I was like, great, I'll just post a tweet about it tomorrow from my personal account. So like 6 a.m. on August 17th, 2016, I posted this tweet that just said like, hey, check out this thing I made with some friends, or some friends and I made. And it had a link to it, which, automatically pops up a picture in Twitter. And it, did pretty well. Like it seemed like it was doing all right. Like people were sharing it. People were like, oh, that's really cool. But by the end of the day, we had a write-up in TechCrunch and our site crashed. And it was just like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
Whoa, didn't expect that. Did not see that coming. But the initial response was very positive. And I think I had like 8,000 Twitter followers at the time. And, I'm not like super huge on Twitter or anything. I got a modest amount of followers, and that was cool. I do think that, some folks in my own network have a lot more street cred than I do and probably shared it, and that probably helped. So thank you, people who shared.
So I'm interested to dig into that day. I mean, firstly, also, it's amazing to hear about people monetizing their children. I'm just about to have my first, and I was even thinking about setting up a separate podcast for people who've monetized their children effectively. So you have to come back and check out that. But that first day when you sent out that tweet, so every day there's probably 10,000 new businesses which are launching with a tweet, and they don't get a write-up in TechCrunch, they don't get a write-up anywhere, and they just sink without a trace. What was different about this product, your business, this situation that meant you started to get that traction, do you think?
I think that it's a really good idea. And when you see it, the visual of it, it was well executed, because I think we could have done it poorly and not gotten the attention that we got. I think if we had executed it poorly, it would not have received that. But we did put the time and effort, the care, and we know that design is very important. We're all designers, the three of us. We have design background. That's where we come from, and so design was super important to us. And design is a lot more than making it pretty. And I don't think a lot of people give design enough credit. The design of it is the visual appeal, but it's how you interact with this and how you understand what this product is and why you want it. And, seeing these kids holding this piece of paper with their artwork on it, standing, while they're wearing an exact replica. And that's the thing that's kind of cool. Like there's a lot of people that are, we get a lot of stuff. People initially were like, how is this different than cafe press or any screen printing? Well, it's not screen printing, first of all. We're using sublimation printing. We're able to do seam to seam, front to back. Everything that you see on that coloring sheet is reproduced exactly. It's just scaled up into dress size or t-shirt size. We want it to be as perfect and awesome as possible. And then we do like a nice little detail with the child's signature. Same, we started with kids stuff, but the artist's signature goes in the hem. So on the coloring sheet, it says made by or designed by, and they write their name, and we take their handwriting and we embed that there's a little picture of it basically in the hem. So it's very personalized. It's a keepsake.
Just going back to the viral stuff, and when you got written up in TechCrunch, was there anything that you did during that period to stoke that fire, or at least help it to continue burning? I'm guessing with things like, for example, the pictures of the kids holding their drawing, and then you see them in the dress and you're like, okay, I get that. I immediately understand what this business is. So I guess there's stuff like that which you designed, and which really, I guess, helped give it a bit of viral lift when people started sharing it, because they could see and understand it very quickly. But was there anything you guys were consciously doing, or was this just sitting back going, holy moly, where's this going to end?
Okay, so I'll try to answer this because I know I get excited and go off topic a little bit. But okay, so we definitely thought about this sort of thing before we launched, right? Like you said, with the picture, like making sure it's very clear in one moment of looking at a picture of what it is, you get exactly what it is. And I think that's hugely important. Like we rode on that for a very long time. And then also just the images themselves, right? Like we had this adorable, my daughter had drawn Pusheen the cat on a scooter, which is like a popular picture of Pusheen, but it was her version of it. And that was one of the dresses. And like people loved it. Like people commented about, I would wear that. You know, you get even the TechCrunch writer who wrote about it was like, I would totally wear that all day long. Like, you know, I mean, it was such a cool thing. So I think just having that really easy to communicate visual that's easy to pass along. I think that's a really key element. And you make it really easy for people to share what you're doing and make it easy for people to understand. I think if you can do that, that simplicity is really, really key. But then also a good aesthetic. And, you know, and that's something that I leave to Ken and Iggy. They have a great aesthetic sense. I stopped designing in like 2008. So I don't even think about that stuff as much anymore. I tell them if I like it or not, but I try to offer useful feedback. But it's not my area of expertise as much as it is theirs. So I trust them very much. And finding people you trust and then backing off and letting them do their job is very important. And I say that in regards to designers. Designers are great when they're good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so, you know, I think having that, and then to kind of bring it back to like, so we got this TechCrunch write-up. Did we do anything to kind of perpetuate that? Well, it crashed our site first. So first, you know, all our attention was on like, let's get the site back up and running, make sure it can handle more. The next day, we were featured on ProductHunt. So it was like, whoa, something else came up. And then the day after that, somebody reached out to me from Disney's Babbel.com, which is like a parenting blog. And, you know, so they reached out and asked for an interview. I immediately accepted and did the interview later that same day. And that interview didn't launch until about 4 or 5 days later. But so all this buzz was happening. Like every day, it seemed like something interesting was coming up. So, you know, like we launched on a Wednesday, I think we had the TechCrunch write-up. Then we have Thursday, we had ProductHunt. Friday, we had Babbel.com. Saturday, a company called Now This, a news media group that does Now This, reached out to us and asked for an interview. We did a Skype interview on Saturday morning. And they made a video out of it, which launched about a week later, which would have put us right about Labor Day of 2016. They launched it on a Sunday. Okay, so backing up a little, the first 5 days, we saw 1 or 2 sales. So we had all this crazy buzz. And I
Oh, no way.
expected that we were just making tons of sales, but it were only a few sales. So we were kind of like, okay, well, I'm glad that we just did this as a proof of concept, you know, because like maybe it's really great for people to get excited about, but they're not doing the thing where they go to their computer and print it out and then actually take a photo and come back and place the order. Maybe that is a hang up that we need to think about. But the buzz was so amazing, you know? And then Wednesday, so we launched on a Wednesday, we get all this buzz, like every day there was something new. And I do have like a chronology of that in a Medium post that I did. So I can share that link with you later if you're interested. But
Yes.
I did log like what happened every day for like the first 7 days. But it wasn't until the following Wednesday, 1 week later, the Babbel.com post went live. And from there, we started to see a bump in sales, like a pretty significant bump in sales. We were like, oh, but it was also like more media picked us up from that. Huffington Post picked us up, Board Panda picked us up. We started getting calls from like Michaela, who does a newscast in LA, like a headline news network. We got calls from like Harry Connick Jr., Amy Poehler Smart Girls reached out to us for an interview. I was flying to New York. I was flying to LA. I was flying back to LA. And, you know, so it was to do all these interviews. And basically anybody who reached out, we talked to, you know, that's what you do. And I was the face of the company, basically. This is very much, and it was interesting because I felt like we tried to tell the story how it was. I mean, Ken was really the nexus of this idea. It was a very collaborative idea, but the media kind of put their own spin on it. It was like this, you know, mom comes up with this amazing idea, you know, and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I am a mom and I'm proud of that. But anyway, so like really controlling the message was very difficult. They kind of took their own message, but we just thought, you know what, whatever, let's let it go. Cause like the buzz is good and you can't pay for this kind of buzz. I mean, you can, but you really have to sink a lot of money into it advertising wise. We did not sink a penny into it. People were making videos. So all these things started picking up. Huffington Post, you know, Board Panda, Scary Mommy, everybody's reaching out, doing things. A lot of people were not actually talking to us, but just writing their own posts. And a lot of them were picking up that. I had done a blog post the same day we launched that just said like kind of a companion piece, like how we came up with the idea. So I launched that the same day, just so if people were curious, we had some footprints on how the idea happened, because we have had a lot of ripoffs since then. But it's good to have sort of your footprints on what you did, how you came up with the idea. And so I did that, and I had a picture of the original dress, my daughter wearing the original dress. I'm like, it started here. And then, it evolved from there. And a lot of news folks picked up that first picture. And I think, so we ran into a lot of people like confused about what we did. Like, I don't understand why I have to print out something. Don't we just send you a picture and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, no, it kind of worked out. We had to answer that, but yeah.
Oh, and that's fantastic. You did answer, because you said, obviously the thing was designed with that in mind. And then that blog post, I guess, was almost it's kind of like your media kit, isn't it? It is. Yes. You want to write about us. Here's the story. Here's the thing that you're going to be most interested in. I think most of the time when a business launches, the founder wouldn't think of even writing that. So actually, when you go on their website, there's no real story that people can buy into if they did want to write about you. So you've kind of given them that straight away.
And that was hugely important to me, to make sure people did know the story, because it was a story. This is a story of this idea that happened right here in our own home with our family, just like super fun and super cool. And you take a lot of negative criticism, interestingly, even if it's a fun, cute, innocent idea. But being able to handle that gracefully, I feel like we did it very well. But yeah, you got to be prepared for that in some way.
People are shits.
They can be so mean. It's amazing what people come up with. And we launched with only dresses. It was so funny. We did that because we really wanted to test the market before investing money and time into t-shirts, because we started down the path of t-shirts. And we realized it was going to be a much more time-consuming and expensive endeavor, because t-shirts have sleeves and you got to figure out how to align them, and the collar and all of this. There was so much work that needed to go into t-shirts. We were like, let's not spend the time and the money until we know that people will actually do this. Oh yeah, and then to kind of pick up that, I'm going to jump right back. I'm all over the place here. Jumping right back to Babbel.com did their post, went live on a Wednesday. The Now This news media video interview, they had edited together a really nice video, and they launched it. I think I started to mention this. They launched it the day before Labor Day. So that was like the following Sunday, about almost 2 weeks after we launched. On that Sunday, they launched it. Within 24 hours, it had like 3 million views. So they have clearly like great reach. And that's when we saw our sales. Like that day, the Labor Day, we had almost $10,000 in sales that day, that's huge for, we were like, oh my God. And we hadn't even shipped a single order yet. So, like we were like, oh my God, we only had like 8 orders or something up to that point. And then all of a sudden they just poured in, and we were like, okay, here we go. Like, buckle down, everybody, because we're going on a ride, a crazy, crazy ride. And with all of that attention comes, viral volumes of email inquiries. And so, the 3 of us really just handled all of that ourselves. And it was me, Iggy, and Ken. Ken was handling all the image processing, which was an interesting beast in itself. We learned a lot very fast on what we needed to improve, and Ken, being super smart, figured a lot of stuff out very quickly. Iggy helping making sure that the website didn't break, and when it did, he was fixing it, helping me update sites with like FAQs and stuff that we were getting constantly. I was handling all the media, all the customer service stuff, and I was getting like 200 a day. So I immediately I found somebody who could help me, and oh my gosh, it was crazy. Anyway, but that video, it told the story very well. And that's another one I'm happy to send you the link to if you are interested. It told the story very well. And, I tried to stay kind of, I think when something happens like that, it's important to be a part of the community, so to speak, in responding to things and being there to answer questions, and not to get sensitive or defensive when people throw stones, because they're gonna, but to at least like explain why you made a certain decision. So we got a lot of, and I started to touch on this, but we started with dresses because t-shirts were going to be too costly and in time and money to launch with. It would have slowed us down and stopped us from just getting the idea out there. So we launched with dresses, and then we got all this like hate feedback on like, are you sexist, you hate boys. And so, I put a thoughtful and very truthful response together that I could kind of copy and paste to those responses. And I wrote a little post on it and everything. But but it wasn't defensive either. It was just honest. Like we started because that was really, I have two daughters, and that was really where the sort of the core idea came from, and so we just thought we would try it and see if people would even do it. We didn't know it was going to go viral. We didn't plan for that. We were able to handle it, but we didn't plan for it, so to speak.
It's really interesting that you kind of went viral for a fair amount of time before the sales really went viral.
Yeah, it was weird.
Were you thinking like, oh, maybe we've got something that the market doesn't actually want?
We definitely thought that, especially in the first 5 days. We were kind of like, wow, it's so weird. We're getting all this amazing buzz, really amazing buzz and tons of people sharing, but no sales. And we thought, and that's why you test the market. That's why we didn't sink thousands of dollars into this idea. We thought we did it right. We're so proud of ourselves, because maybe this is just a flop after all. And then when it did take off, we were like, oh, we still did it right. We still did it right, because if we had launched with t-shirts, and if for any reason we had doubled the amount of sales we got because we had t-shirts, there's no way we could have kept our heads above water. We would have drowned ourselves. And so we were so grateful that we only launched with a single product that cut out half of the marketplace. People tell us we're stupid for that, but honestly, I think we were smart for doing that.
Yeah, right. Nothing like $10,000 of sales in a day from a standing start to test your processes, right?
Exactly. It was terrifying. It was exciting, but it was so scary,
So you spent 10 months kind of behind the scenes building up the website and I guess designing the process and all of that. And the website's fantastic, really simple, really easy to use, and just nice and clean. Is that the site that you launched with, or did you launch with something more rough and ready?
It's basically what you see today is what we launched with. So we didn't have t-shirts. We did have gift certificates. So we had dresses and gift certificates. So it was the homepage. Mm-hmm. Just make sure that people know, here's I don't think we had to break out the dresses page at that time. Now we have, the homepage. We've got a little blog and some FAQs and stuff. We had FAQs to launch. We had the homepage was what is now the dress page. We didn't have t-shirts at the time, but we did do gift certificates. And it was funny because about the day before we decided we were going to announce it, Iggy was doing some stuff in, I don't know, WooCommerce or whatever. He's like, hey, should we include gift certificates? And we were like, oh yeah, let's do that. That's a great idea. And it's been between dresses, gift certificates, and t-shirts, gift certificates, we sell, if we sell 10 dresses, we sell 7 gift certificates for every 10.
Wow.
So it's interesting. It's really a fantastic thing. And we've improved that over time. We started with just the digital gift code, and then we evolved it to let's do printable gift cards. And then now we have printable gift kits. So it's if you're giving a digital gift certificate, you can make it a lot more meaningful, and sort of like the ads, you want to understand what it is the moment you see it. So people can print this out. It's got a cover sheet. It's got a little explainer page with their magic code on it, which is the gift certificate digital code that they enter to, redeem their gift when they pay for it. And then it's got a bunch of templates. You print out as many templates as you want. And so we've evolved that just from customer feedback and our own, we're just listening really. But the kits, I'm excited about the kits, and we have a lot of vision for where those will go too.
That sounds awesome. And it's so simple, isn't it? It's just such a simple thing. They even print it out themselves. So you're just giving them an image that they can, it's so good.
And it's really cool too, I have to throw this in there, because we were working with a local manufacturer who already was doing sublimation printing, and he carries all the inventory. So we didn't have to spend any money on inventory to launch this idea. It's an on-demand printing process. So you're not paying, our customers pay us for the order. He fulfills it for us. And now we're very integrated in that process. He's 15 minutes from our house. We're there. We pick up our, I go down and pick up, my sister actually picks up all the stuff now, and then takes it to our ship shop, and we pack and ship personally. But we're very integrated in the process of these things, the production of these, but we didn't have to lay down a lot of money, which I think was a great way to start the business, because everything that we sold became capital pretty much, after you pay for the cost of goods, but there's a lot of margin there to work with to build a new company.
You launched with a website that is really, really good. How important was it to you to go live with something good quality rather than to just go, you could have gone the other route and just said, right, I'm going to spend a weekend just knocking something up, super basic theme, just to test. Do you think that had implication on how people perceived the brand when you launched?
I absolutely think that they had maybe everything to do it. I mean, the idea itself has to be good. If you want people to care, you have to connect emotionally with people with what your product is. And, I think we have a natural product for connecting with people emotionally, but your visual has to support it. It can't be sloppy and careless and quick. And we knew that. I mean, I think we've known that from our background as well. We've worked in a lot of places that, large corporations that want you to just churn stuff out quickly just to get it out. And I think that can work in some contexts, but I think when you're introducing a new idea, a new brand, you have to release a very care invested, thoughtful visual along with it. And, and it's not just about looking good too, because it can be a real pretty piece of crap too, So, there's a balance there. I mean, there's a story baked into the visual, and then the branding, it's like, I mean, and I think this carries through. I'm going to kind of relate it to how we deliver the product too. So we print out these things. We don't just throw it in a box or a bag or whatever and send it to you. We fold them. We inspect them, we photograph them, but every piece is folded. It's wrapped in tissue paper, sealed with a nice little sticker, and then put in a bag. And that sort of care invested, like, it's not just it's important to us. This is a creative piece from the heart, right? And I feel like every detail has to be that care invested all along the way. And our whole team is on the same page with that. It's not just me that thinks that, or just Ken that thinks that, but like Iggy's on board with that. And Kim, who now runs our ship shop, she's right in with that too. And, you have to be on board with that care invested sense. And that has to be in the visuals with your marketing. Like, that's a huge piece of it. You can't just, I don't know. I mean, maybe there are things where you can test models and A/B testing and all of that. I know that kind of, I was a user experience designer for most of my career, and I get it. But, it's just, I think that you do, if there were any battle I ever had in the corporate environment that was more frustrating than anything, it was not allowing design the time and thought to really accomplish the goal. It's not paint. We're not just painting it, pretty. It has to be care invested. It has to be thoughtful. It has to be strategic. And I really believe that it made a huge difference for us. I do think we could have done it poorly and it would not have had the same outcome.
Well said. I want to ask you about social media now. Now, it looks like to me using Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and it seems to be Facebook that really gives you the kind of best return of your time invested. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely correct. And it's funny because we didn't know or expect that.
Really? What did you expect?
I really thought, I think because it was launched in Twitter, and Twitter was always sort of my primary social media tool of preference. I don't know, maybe just my age demographic. I don't know. Twitter was always the thing that I used the most, right? And the only time I even used Facebook at all was I had Twitter set up to auto post to my Facebook so that the people and family and friends that I had over there could be moderately updated and in tune with what's going on with me if they cared. And, that was it. That was all I knew of Facebook. And so we knew we needed to set up all the things. We'd set up stuff. We set up Pinterest. We did all the things. We set up all the social media networks that we could think of. But we knew that those would be our three that we wanted to focus on. And so, we put most of our effort there. We posted everything identical to start, just to see what would happen. And we saw nothing on Twitter. I mean, it's crickets. I think we have like 500 followers on Twitter. And yet and we've been around now for just over a year and a half, about a year and a half now. And we have 35,000 followers, almost 36,000 followers on Facebook. So Facebook is where we have the most response. And then Instagram, we have, I want to say 7,000, 7,500, something like that on Instagram. And, we see the numbers climb every day just a little bit. I think it's just, moms. Moms might be our demographic, people exactly like me. Moms who like fun and creativity. I don't know. I think that that's a huge part of our demographic. And so that's, who we talk to. They see these happy kids with these happy faces wearing these crazy designs that they made with their imagination. And they're like, yeah, I want my kid to experience that. And so I think it's really understanding who we're talking to. But it took a little learning to really figure out like who we think we know, we think we know who we're talking to, but you learn by listening and watching and being a part of that.
For sure. So what's your strategy on Facebook? Obviously, I'm looking at the page, but for listeners, how do you post stuff which isn't just, hey, buy this now, buy this now, buy this now?
Okay, so this is a really interesting question. And I don't have a simple answer. One of the most obvious answers, though, is we are so lucky to have a product that people want to share. So our very core first image, of the first ones that I took of my daughter and her best friend Gigi, holding the image and wearing their design, same time, one shot. Like people send us that of their kids. We don't ask for that. I mean, we love that. We encourage that. But people started sending those to us without us even asking. And we were like, hell yes. It's like, customer generated content is a dream for most marketing, any company. And to have something where, these kids are holding up their creations. We're just a tool to make their imagination come to life. And they're sending us those photos. These parents are sending them to us and saying, yes, please share this because my kid is so proud of it. So every day, every single day. And I mathed this out. I know math is not a proper word, but I figured this out one time I did the calculations for all of the images that we've received. And this includes just product shots. So we weave in, and you can see this more on our Instagram, but on our Facebook, we do galleries of customer created images just from our production shots. But if I posted one single shot every single day, I'd have enough to cover 43 years and have something unique every single day for 43 years with the material that has been created from our customers. So that's the dream in itself as well. So a lot of what we've been doing is just trying to figure out what's useful. So I do a lot of videos. I do a lot of Facebook Live. Here's how, this is something that we see is people really love the other customers' pictures more than they love our pictures. So that's what we focus on. We give them more of what they seem to respond to. And then when I do the videos, people really like the how-tos. And that's just something I kind of knew that I'm stepping into. So we want to really evolve the production of our how-tos. And it's something I've just been setting up my iPhone and I do it live on the spot with Facebook Live. That's been a fun thing to experiment with. But now we want to take it maybe a step further, which intimidates me, but I'm sort of the character for the company. So I guess it's on me right now. And we're small, we're still super small. We're trying to operate super lean and super smart. But we're working with what we have. We're sort of guerrilla style on things. We just figure it out as we go. But of course, we have plans. We have a lot of plans. We don't fly completely blindly. I think sometimes I make it sound like, oh, I don't know, we just try things, but it's never that simple. It's always a lot more pre-thought than maybe it seems. But we don't share a lot out loud either. We just try to put our heads down and do the work rather than talk about it all day.
Oh, my next question was where next? International expansion. I thought probably a wider product range, and then of course selling more to the US market with your existing products.
So we do already sell internationally. We do run into stuff with, there are always like VAT. I don't even know what the proper duty taxes and stuff.
Yeah.
UK is particularly hard on us with that. So
sorry.
they're rough on us, but Australia is awesome. But we've shipped all over the world, and people who are already familiar with what it's like to buy stuff from the US are expecting that already. So, and we put a notification on there like, hey, this is not part of our shipping charge, but it may pop up. And it's been fairly inconsistent, interestingly, the charge. So I don't know. But so we do ship internationally. We ship all over the world. Anywhere USPS ships, that's our primary shipping. We've had a couple people, request to use their carrier, DHL or whatever. But so we do that. Additional products, we have a queue of additional products. I my team would prefer I keep those on the down low because we do get so many ripoffs. A lot of copycats. So a lot of copycats out there, which, they always say that's flattery. It's flattery to a point. It's also just blatantly like, I don't know, stealing an idea. And so, we protect it the best we can, but a lot of them, we've seen a lot come and go already too. So that's great. So yeah, I don't want to give them too much material to work with, I guess, but we have some really great ideas coming up for this year. And a lot of it has really just been, expanding a lot of our internal foundation, really making sure we're solid so we can grow strong. So that's been a lot of the last year, and, just trying to grow things, figure things out. Everything is new in terms, we've all had some e-commerce experience, but we've never owned an e-commerce company before. So we're learning a lot as we go, but it's awesome. I'm stoked. But we definitely have like 5 years of plan. We get a lot of ideas from people too. People are like, oh, you should do ties, you should do aprons, you should do ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. We're like, we know, we got it. We'll get to a certain point when we're ready, but we know exactly what we want to make next. I mean, we know our next 3 products for sure. We've got a backlog of things that we will consider, but it has to fall into what makes sense for our customer base and, expanding the customer base that we want. So we're pretty particular about where we go from here.
It's understandable. I think if I knew that there were competitors listening, I'd be like, yeah, we figured out a way to print on leather Doc Martens and then just watch them put themselves out of business trying to figure it out.
Yeah. It's like, good luck with that. And, I think where a lot of people fall short in that, in the competition is the customer service. Our customer service is excellent. I mean, we do the best we can, and you're not going to make everybody happy 100% of the time. But, I'm a former Zappos person. I know how important customer service is there, went through the training, saw it in action, and I stand by Zappos customer service 100%. And I want, mine's not exactly the same as Zappos. They're a huge billion-dollar company and I am not, but I do what I can. We do what we can, and we care. We genuinely care. We genuinely want happy customers, and we work with people. So, I think that we do well on customer service. And I think that helps us stand apart from a lot of these other copycats.
I would guess another thing that helps you stand apart is how well thought out everything looks. There's a confidence and an authority that comes from good design. Do you know what I mean? You go on, for example, if you go on the Zappos website versus some much newer startup business, you kind of get the feeling that this is a well-established thing and it's been very thought out. And for me, that's like an unconscious signal. This is the market leader. These are the originals. Credit to you guys for putting the work in up front to do that. It's not easy to do, is it?
It's not easy. And I do think that's so important because you're asking people to give you money blindly. Like you're a company that they have never heard of. And you're asking for their money and they're trusting you with it, with something that they don't get right away. Like it takes, 7 to 10 days for us to ship this most of the time, sometimes up to 30, depending on how great the image is that we get. So yeah, I
also love how you've done a minimum viable product, but when most people think about MVPs, they miss out the viable and they just think minimum product, and they just think it's okay to just stick up some crap and test it. And then if it goes well, then, hey, we'll actually put some effort in. So I think you guys have done a really, really good job of that. Respect. And I encourage people to check it out. If the listeners want to check out the video that you mentioned or the link to your blog post about it, then you can go to exposureninja.com/episode 89. And there'll be show notes there with the video embedded as well. Jaimee, is there anything else that you want to tell our listeners? Anything else that they should be bearing in mind if they're imagining going on a journey like you have with Picture This Clothing?
Oh man, buckle your seatbelt. It's crazy. I wish I had something really amazing to share. I would love to throw out that I'm always happy to answer questions if people want to reach out. I love having interactions like this, and I really appreciate you including me in your show. I learn a lot from other people, and I hope that people can learn something from our experience as well. And thank you for being so kind about how we did it.
No worries. I would suggest that the takeaway would be do a good job of your first product.
Yeah.
Make it something people actually want. I think that's such an underrated thing.
I think so too. Ooh, good point.
Anyway, thank you so much, Jaimee, for joining us. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you, Sam.